town in the northeast of England, which is so far away from the Delta and the Mississippi and all of that thing. And I'm listening, there I am.
In the thunderous landscape of hard rock history, there emerged a vocalist whose powerful delivery could command respect or ignite fierce territorial disputes.
I said, I go to pieces, baby.
Paul Rodgers, the soulful powerhouse behind Free and Bad Company, wasn't simply a gifted singer who helped define arena rock's golden era. He was also a perfectionist whose unwavering standards and protective instincts reportedly created lasting tensions with several prominent musicians throughout his illustrious journey.
Back and forth.
Japan.
In Japan, and I think Rolling Stone just had you in their top 50 or whatever that was.
Yeah.
Welcome to another episode of Offstage Tales, where today we're investigating the untold conflicts surrounding Paul Rodgers and the 6 artists who allegedly earned his lasting disapproval. The English vocalist who delivered classics like All Right Now and Feel Like Makin' Love possessed an old-school work ethic and artistic integrity that apparently clashed with numerous contemporaries over the decades. Music has to come from somewhere deep inside, Rodgers once explained to Classic Rock magazine with characteristic sincerity. That depth of commitment would fuel countless professional disagreements and creative standoffs throughout his remarkable career. From record label politics to artistic compromise battles, Paul's confrontations with these musicians reveal a performer who prioritized musical honesty above industry diplomacy. These weren't simple misunderstandings, but fundamental disagreements about what rock music should represent and how artists should conduct themselves professionally. Get ready for an intense exploration of hard rock's most principled conflicts as we examine the musicians who challenged Paul Rodgers' uncompromising vision. 6. Sammy Hagar. Coming in at number 6 on our countdown is Sammy Hagar, the high-energy rock veteran whose party-focused approach reportedly conflicted with Paul Rodgers' more serious artistic philosophy. The tension between these powerhouse vocalists represented a clash between celebration-driven rock and emotionally deeper musical expression.
Songs, the way I sing, the way I play guitar, and it's an honor to have a superstar sit next to me, Mr. Paul Rodgers.
The friction reportedly developed during the late 1970s when both singers were establishing themselves as premier hard rock frontmen with vastly different stage personas. According to former Sounds writer Pete Makowski, Rodgers privately told band members that Hagar was a beer commercial disguised as a rock singer, and that his party anthem approach trivialized the emotional potential of hard rock music. What bothered Rodgers wasn't just Hagar's lifestyle-focused lyrics, but his widespread popularity for what Paul saw as superficial entertainment. While Rodgers was crafting songs that explored genuine human experiences and emotional complexity, Hagar was achieving commercial success with what Paul reportedly called frat house sing-alongs that reduce rock music to background noise for drinking games. Rock should touch people's souls, not just get them drunk, Rodgers allegedly told Melody Maker in 1979, stopping just short of naming Hagar directly, but clearly referencing the party rock phenomenon. Some singers think making people forget their problems is the same as helping them understand their emotions, but real music does both. The rivalry intensified when both vocalists were featured in similar hard rock publications and radio rotations. At a 1981 industry showcase, witnesses claim Rodgers declined to meet Hagar backstage, reportedly telling his manager, "I don't network with people who've turned rock concerts into spring break parties." 5. David Lee Roth. At number 5, we have David Lee Roth, the acrobatic Van Halen frontman whose theatrical antics reportedly earned Paul Rodgers' disdain for prioritizing showmanship over musical substance.
Looks at me like you like to fool around now. Here I am, ain't no man.
The conflict between these charismatic performers represented a fundamental disagreement about what constituted authentic rock performance.
So by placing everything we've discussed, if you think of it as cross-training, that's a great rationale.
Yeah.
Why'd you do that?
The animosity reportedly emerged during the early 1980s when both vocalists were dominating arena rock with contrasting performance philosophies. According to former Circus magazine contributor Susan Messino, Rodgers privately complained to industry friends that Roth was a circus performer who accidentally wandered onto rock stages, and that Van Halen's success proved audiences preferred athletic displays over genuine vocal artistry. What frustrated Rodgers wasn't just Roth's acrobatic stage presence, but the critical acclaim for what he viewed as empty spectacle. While Paul was connecting with audiences through powerful vocal delivery and emotional honesty, Van Halen was receiving praise for what Rodgers reportedly called gymnastics routines, disguised as rock concerts that distract from the fact that singing takes a backseat to somersaults. Great frontmen use their voice as the primary instrument, not their legs, Rodgers allegedly told Hit Parader in 1982, clearly targeting Roth's energetic stage style. Some performers think jumping higher makes them better singers, but real rock magic happens when you stand still and let the music move people. The tension peaked when both acts toured similar arena circuits throughout the decade. At a backstage area encounter, witnesses claim Rodgers watched Van Halen's soundcheck with visible skepticism, reportedly telling his bandmates, "Since when did rock concerts become auditions for Cirque du Soleil instead of emotional experiences?" Number 4 brings us to Gene Simmons and Kiss, the theatrical rock spectacle whose elaborate stage productions reportedly conflicted with Paul Rodgers' preference for music-focused performances. The rivalry between these entertainment philosophies represented a bitter dispute over rock's essential purpose and presentation. The discord reportedly began during the mid-1970s when both acts were conquering arena stages with dramatically different approaches to audience engagement.
I want to tell you a story about Paul walks in during 79 or so.
According to former Cream journalist Lester Bangs, Rodgers privately told associates that Simmons was a businessman wearing demon makeup who's confused merchandising with musical artistry, and that Kiss represented everything wrong with commercialized rock entertainment. What irritated Rodgers wasn't just Kiss's elaborate costumes and pyrotechnics, but their massive commercial success, despite what he saw as minimal musical content. While Free and Bad Company were building loyal audiences through song quality and vocal excellence, Kiss was dominating through what Rodgers reportedly called Halloween party gimmicks that substitute special effects for actual musical talent and emotional connection. Rock concerts should be about the songs, not the smoke machines, Rodgers allegedly told guitar player in 1976, stopping just short of naming Kiss but clearly referencing their production-heavy shows. Some bands think louder explosions make better music, but real rock power comes from the heart, not the pyrotechnics budget. The rivalry escalated when both acts competed for headlining slots at major festivals throughout the late 1970s. At a venue meeting, witnesses claim Rodgers questioned Kiss's artistic credibility, reportedly declaring, "Music fans deserve better than cartoon characters hiding behind makeup because they're afraid to." 3. Jon Bon Jovi. At number 3, we have Jon Bon Jovi. The New Jersey rock star, whose polished image and commercial approach reportedly triggered Paul Rodgers' frustration with manufactured rock authenticity. The conflict between these successful frontmen represented a generational clash over what constituted genuine rock credibility. The tension reportedly developed during the mid-1980s when Bon Jovi was achieving massive MTV success, while Rodgers was maintaining his traditional approach to hard rock. According to former Rolling Stone contributor David Fricke, Rodgers privately told industry veterans that Bon Jovi was a marketing creation who thinks good hair and expensive videos can replace years of paying musical dues, and that his instant stardom proved the industry had abandoned artistic development for image management.
Cut the neck, and he said that he was very careful because he knew I was a singer.
What aggravated Rodgers wasn't just Bon Jovi's rapid rise to fame, but the critical acceptance of what Paul saw as superficial rock craftsmanship. While Rodgers had spent years honing his craft through club gigs and studio experimentation, Bon Jovi was receiving acclaim for what Paul reportedly called corporate rock designed by focus groups who understand demographics better than actual musical emotion. The rivalry intensified when both were featured in greatest rock vocalist discussions throughout the decade. At a music industry conference, witnesses claim Rodgers openly questioned the newer generation's artistic foundation, reportedly stating, "These pretty boys wouldn't last 5 minutes in the clubs where real rock musicians learn their craft." 2. Axl Rose. Coming in at number 2 is Axl Rose and Guns N' Roses. The volatile hard rock explosion whose chaotic approach reportedly earned Paul Rodgers disapproval for confusing aggression with artistic authenticity. The rivalry between these intense performers represented a fundamental disagreement about channeling raw energy into meaningful musical expression. The hostility reportedly emerged during the late 1980s when Guns N' Roses was revolutionizing hard rock with their dangerous unpredictability, while Rodgers maintained his disciplined approach to powerful music. According to former Metal Hammer writer Malcolm Dome, Rodgers privately told session musicians that Rose was a tantrum-throwing child who mistakes volatility for artistic depth, and that Guns N' Roses proved audiences confused chaos with genuine rebellion. What infuriated Rodgers wasn't just Rose's erratic behavior, but the widespread praise for what he viewed as undisciplined musical expression. While Paul had built his reputation through consistent excellence and professional reliability, Guns N' Roses was receiving credit for what Rodgers reportedly called amateur hour dramatics, disguised as authentic rock rebellion that substitutes unprofessional conduct for genuine emotional intensity. "Great rock comes from controlled power, not from losing control completely," Rodgers allegedly told Kerrang! In 1989, clearly targeting Rose's infamous stage meltdowns. Some frontmen think screaming and storming off stage makes them more authentic, but real rock power requires discipline and respect for the audience who paid to hear music. The conflict reached its peak when both acts were considered for major festival headlining spots. At a promoter meeting, witnesses claim Rodgers questioned Guns N' Roses' reliability.
He said, you get there early, do a good show, get the money, and get home safe. Those were his...
Reportedly declaring, "Rock fans deserve performers who show up, prepared and professional, not prima donnas who treat concerts like therapy sessions." 1. Robert Plant. Taking the number 1 spot is the most shocking entry of all, Robert Plant and Led Zeppelin. Whose mystical hard rock dominance reportedly became Paul Rodgers' most complex and enduring source of professional frustration. The conflict between these legendary vocalists represented the ultimate battle for recognition as Britain's premier rock voice.
You know, I think now if Jimi Hendrix, for instance, was still alive today and had been allowed to mellow like Ray Charles or...
The tension reportedly began in the early 1970s when both singers were being hailed as defining voices of hard rock with dramatically different approaches to vocal expression. According to Led Zeppelin biographer Dave Lewis, Rodgers privately told close friends that Plant was a mythology student who thinks screaming about ancient legends makes him profound, and that Led Zeppelin's massive success overshadowed more deserving artists who focused on genuine human emotion rather than fantasy escapism. The rivalry reached its devastating climax when Led Zeppelin consistently overshadowed other British rock acts in critical polls and commercial success throughout the decade. Despite Rodgers' undeniable vocal abilities and songwriting contributions, he reportedly felt that Plant's mystical persona and Led Zeppelin's mythology had unfairly dominated the conversation about British rock excellence, creating a lifelong sense that genuine musical craftsmanship had been overshadowed by theatrical mysticism and excessive volume. And there you have it, the 6 musicians who allegedly clashed with Paul Rodgers' uncompromising artistic vision. Was his pursuit of musical integrity justified or too rigid? Share your thoughts in the comments, smash that like button, and subscribe for more rock history drama. True artistry demands the highest standards.